y'all. Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, stay on the scene, get on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the Surplus Lines Association of California, Robert Gilbert.
I asked James if he could airbrush my hair back on. But he didn't do that, so. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Bob Gilbert, and I'm honored to be the chairman of the Surplus Lines Association of California this year, and I'm really appreciative of everybody attending this great event. I think you will get a lot out of it. If not tomorrow, certainly tonight. This is a great event, and it was 4 years in the making. And by that I mean we've gone from a very, very small group to, as you can tell, a great group of people from all over our industry in surplus lines. So we appreciate, all of us appreciate from the association that you're here. Little pre-written things that I have to say, so bear with me. SLA is here to support 5,300 members in the entire surplus lines community. We offer direct support to our members through education, assistance with filing and compliance, tech support, and efforts to entice new talent into our industry, which I think you can tell are here today. Indirectly, we support the entire surplus lines community and marketplace by working with legislators, regulators, and our colleagues in other associations to ensure that we have a healthy, fair, and competitive marketplace that serves California surplus lines consumers. Your role as a committee member is to help set the priorities of the SLA. The decisions you make this week, actually tomorrow, about those priorities will go to the Stamping Committee, which is run by Terry Moran, if you haven't met Terry, and the Board of Directors, and they will make decisions this fall about next year's budget. Thank you for taking part in this event and helping lay the groundwork for the future. At this time, I want to mention two things. Number one, why everybody is sitting in a designated table. That was on purpose. I think that between tonight and tomorrow, you'll meet everybody if you haven't already. But we thought it would be a great idea for everybody to get to know who's on everybody's committee so that you're focused in terms of walking in tomorrow going, were you at that party yesterday, last night? Yeah. So we thought this would be a great idea for everybody to get together and get to know each other. And before I introduce the committee chairs, I want to tell you the real reason why we're here. 5.5 years ago, John Poucher and his wife, Lindsay, were married and had their honeymoon, I believe, correct? Just the night of the wedding here, at this hotel. So, John, the bill will be at your door tomorrow. On a serious note, let me introduce all of the committee chairs, and I asked if they would stand, if they would. Representing the Admitted Market Liaison Committee, Susan Atkins. Representing our Education and Compliance Committee, Mr. Tim Shea. Playing shortstop and representing the Next Generation Subcommittee, Pam Quillisi. She is here. I did see her in the lobby, so I know she's here. Maybe not down here yet. Representing the Legislative Committee, Mr. Hank Haldeman. Representing the Special Advisory Committee, formerly the Psychiatric Committee, Mr. John Lawson. Representing this year our Stamping Committee, Ms. Terry Moran. And last but not least, representing the Technology Committee, Mr. Cameron Kelly. And again, I thank you all for being here, and I'd like to introduce, for those that don't know, and I doubt that, Mr. Ben McKay, Director.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming. It really means a great deal to us to have all you here, giving of your time, giving of your energies. You are a select few, right? I mean, and you'll see a lot of these same faces at a lot of the organizations that actually create and maintain our healthy marketplace. You'll see them here, you'll see them at CEWA, you'll see them at the WSIA. And there's a reason for that. You know, there's only in every organization, every industry, there are a handful of people that make it work. And you are those people, and you really should be proud of that. Quite frankly, in my experience, and I've been doing association work in and around associations for at least 20 years now, it really is that small, self-selected group of people in any given industry that determines the success or failure of that industry. They're the ones that actually end up making the rules, having an inordinate amount of influence. Interestingly, you can kind of liken it to an election, right? If you actually look at who votes, particularly in a primary, you go to a primary, sometimes there'll be 6% of the eligible voters who vote. That's who's actually electing that person to the primary. It's an incredible, you think you get one vote, but if you're one of the 6%, you get like 1,000 votes, right? So each of you gets like 1,000 votes. So think of it in those terms, right? So, because this is where the preliminary work happens. You know, this is our primary. This is where we decide which way our market should go. This is where we decide which things we're going to oppose, which things we're going to support, what we're going to build that's then going to allow this industry, the surplus lines industry, to prosper. So this is your primary. You're the super voters. You're the super empowered voters. That's my sort of admonition. I have another admonition, though, and those of you who were here earlier, we had a group of new committee members who we met with earlier just to orient them to the SLA and sort of the marketplace space, the association marketplace space. And I admonished them, and I have to admonish all of you. Sorry to be redundant for those who were here earlier, but we are competitors in the marketplace, and therefore we do need to be cognizant of antitrust concerns. Let's to put it in the affirmative and the positive, let's talk about policy, let's talk about legislation, let's talk about technology, let's talk about good things for the association, how it works. Let's not talk about bid rigging, let's not talk about anti-competitive practices, let's not talk about prices. And that's not just in the meetings, that's everywhere, that's in the restrooms, in the bar, in the courtyard. Anywhere during this meeting that you have those conversations, it will be imbued upon us, that misdoing, and we will pay the price. We as the association. So let's not do that. We'd be very appreciative. We do have a lot of serious business to do here in the next 20 or so hours. We will talk a lot more about this in the morning. My intent is not to be long-winded tonight because I know we want to get on with the festivities, but to just echo what Bob said, spend some time getting to know each other so that part of the sort of required thinking phase is out of the way for tomorrow, and so that tomorrow when we get together we can start working on some blue sky ideas. We'll do some socializing later and tonight, but before we get to that, let me introduce to you, Bob introduced the chairs, let me introduce to you the senior staff so you know who they are and what their function is. I'm going to start with our Chief Operating Officer, who is one of our two longest serving leadership people, Joy Irvin. So Joy handles all of the internal operations. She's our COO in every sense of the word. Next, Mike Cattaragli. He's our Senior Vice President of Data Analysis and Technology. We'll talk more about what each of these folks do in the morning, but Mike runs two departments at this point. One is the technology department. The other is the data analysis department, which does all the processing of the filings. Next, our longest server is Pat McCauley. Pat runs our education and compliance department. Pat is the font of all historical knowledge at the Surplus Lines Association, so if you want to know anything about us, going back to 1937, she's the person to ask. Oh, hold on, sorry. That's actually Hank. Sorry. Oh, no, Jerry, right. Yes, it's Jerry, my bad. One of our newest and most talented members of the team, Susan Bryant, who runs our financial analysis department. And our head of all things communications and government affairs, Clifton Brown. Or Professor Xavier, as we now call him, since he's gone clean. Yeah, look, we haven't. Hey, where's the Photoshop on his picture? You could have given Bob his. Never mind. Forget it. Okay, with that, I'm gonna leave you. I did want to ask if there are any questions. I know this is a little bit of an odd forum, but just in case. Hearing none, enjoy your meal. Thank you for coming. We do appreciate it.